morning. It is Thursday, the 12th of March. I'm just about to get out the car and go to my ukulele lesson. Not very crafty, fibre-y sort of creative, but creative nonetheless. I'm hoping we'll get a new song today to work on over the next week or so. I always like it when we get a new song to get our teeth into. So I've just got to go and get some cash. I'll go to that. It's 2 hours. It's quite a big chunk of my time considering how precious time is, but I really, really do look forward to it. If there's ever a time when I don't want to go, that's the time to stop. But at the moment, I still absolutely love those 2 hours of my week. I've had a bit of a morning of admin and getting stuff done. I've got my hand knit socks on to wash. And I've got to pop to the shops after my class as well. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get the things I need because the shelves have been bare the last couple of weeks. Should be all right though. I only need things like chicken and things for dinner tonight. They're talking about shutting the schools next week. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but the government are in a important official meeting and then they'll let us know what's going to happen with regards to that. So that'll be interesting. I work in a museum, but that museum is on site at a hospital. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. They may decide to close the hospital site to non-essential staff and the public. So if that happens, I'll be working from home on the days I'm supposed to be in. But I have sort of things in place to plan for that. Yeah, so a couple of exciting-ish things planned for the next couple of days, but other than that, it's all a very ordinary snapshot of my life and how I fit my crafty things into that life. So I will take you along with me. Well, I'm home from ukulele and I picked up a couple of bits because Phoebe and I are going to make some apple turnovers later, hopefully. And I also got some short crust pastry because I'm going to make some Cornish pasties to put in the freezer. Just in case, for any reason, I don't know, we can't get to the shops or the shops run out of anything. I know they're not going to. But I just want to know that I've got a well-stocked freezer for meals. And also, they're really nice for Phoebe. I'm going to make cheese and onion ones. She's vegetarian and we're still feeling our way. It's a new thing. We've been vegetarian for a couple of months now. We're still feeling our way with good recipes for her. And I think pasty would be a good one. Especially homemade, because we know what's in it then. What's this? Extra nectar points. Don't think I'll be using that. And I've got my face wipes for taking off makeup. And wipes aren't great, I know, but I do find them the best thing for my skin and for getting off makeup. So I do get the biodegradable ones. And all of the packaging is recyclable as well. So that's really good. Right, I'm going to put this lot away and then I'm going to have a very quick lunch. Forgot to say, I got something very exciting in the post. Nice brown paper envelope, and I know what this is, so I will share it with you now. I was making a, it's hard to get into it. I was making a hat, a cabled hat, and completely my fault. I misjudged the amount of yarn it would take, so I had to break my yarn buying ban and buy another skein. So it'll be a different dye lot, but I'm going to stripe the last portion of the hat. Whoops. Cartref yarn. Lovely Jenny and lovely Zoe in Wales says, thank you for your order. Enjoy finishing your lovely hat. Thank you, Zoe. This is a yarn that is, I'm going to read the back. It is Welsh Mule and Blueface Leicester blend DK yarn, hand-picked fleece from Brecon Wool Depot, spun in this is a Welsh place name, Ceredigion. I'm saying it like it's French. Anyway, I'll show it to you in a minute. And dyed by us in Cardiff. Cartref means home in Welsh, and we'd love to welcome you to share a bit of our homeland. And there you go, there's the name of the place that I can't say. Anyway, I shall show you the yarn. Oh, it looks very, very similar to the colour I've got. Such lovely yarn, honestly, lovely. I'm going to do a colour comparison in a minute to show you. I also got something else. I'm going to get my scissors out again. I only ordered this yesterday, so this is pretty marvellous. This was from eBay. And it's another addition to my crafting life. Perhaps not as interesting though. It's got my address on the inside. Let me just take that out. It's white cotton. And that is because I needed some plain white cotton to line some bags that I've got cut out that I'm making as gifts. And one's a prize as well for my main podcast, for the knit along that I run September to January for the Strictly Sock Along. If you're interested, check out any of the hashtags on Instagram. Strictly Sock Along 2019 was the most recent one. Anyway, I bought some lining, so I'll be able to finish those bags now. Here's the hat, and here's the new yarn. That is pretty good, isn't it? Let me get the ball. That is not a bad match at all. I don't feel too concerned about that. I think that will stripe up really, really nicely. I don't think you're even going to notice. Brilliant. I can't remember when I last spoke to you. I was looking at yarn, I think I was looking at my orange yarn. And I picked up Phoebe from school, and we popped to the doctor's because we had a follow-up appointment for her because she's been getting headaches. So she's going to have a blood test, bless her. But she's been very brave about it. Anyway, it is now 6:45 and it's far later than I would normally be starting dinner. But because of all the running around that we've had to do, everything's a bit late. Dan's running late as well. His train was delayed. And we're also waiting to hear the decision of the government about schools and colleges and whether or not they're going to remain open. And I'm also waiting to hear from my work about whether or not they're going to be closing the hospital site, and therefore all the museum staff will have to work from home. So it's just, I completely understand why it all has to happen. It's just that period of waiting to find out what you're doing. Once you know, you can start to put things in place and work out how you're going to do it. But until then, you're a bit in the air. So still can't get paracetamol, and I still can't get toilet roll. Probably got enough for a few days, but I am getting a bit worried that we're going to run out and just not have any. So I'll keep trying. But for now, I'm going to make dinner. I am going to make a very, very adapted recipe from this book the Davina's 5 weeks to sugar-free. Don't be alarmed, don't be put off by the title of it. The recipes in here, it does have some pudding recipes, but there's a lot of fantastic savoury recipes in here which are really, really simple. And my girls really like my adaptation of her chicken noodle soup, which I make with onions instead of leeks, some different vegetables, and I make it not with noodles but with orzo pasta. So that's what we're having tonight. Phoebe's a vegetarian, so I'm going to try and make hers with, where is it? Oh, this. Now she does like tofu, but I saw this in the supermarket. It's tempeh, I think is how you pronounce it. And I think it works in a very similar way to tofu, except you can freeze tempeh and you can't freeze tofu, at least not the cauldron tofu. So I'm going to try and put this in her version, which basically means I need to make 2 pots of this. So cue cooking sequence. Good morning. It is Friday the 13th of March and I'm at work. Last night's dinner was yummy, just in case you're wondering. I am just in my office going through the process of cancelling meetings and so on. This is due to working on a hospital site. We're trying to minimise the amount of public that come into contact with people here. Came in this morning to find Dettol on my desk. Yeah, so I've got a full day here, and then it's Friday night, thank goodness. I'm looking forward to getting home, getting some crafty stuff done over the weekend and just relaxing. And this is a funny angle, isn't it? It's about 10 past 6. I've just got home. It was a really busy drive home. It was a really busy day. Everything's just a little uncertain in all areas at the moment for everybody, I think. Everyone's just feeling a bit uncertain. We've never been in this situation before with the coronavirus. And yeah, it's been a long day just sorting out the work stuff related to that. And in addition to that, Dan and I have had a very difficult week anyway. In that, I don't think I've ever been one to shy away from the real life stuff that goes on here, because that's what these vlogs are about. So I will let you know that, please don't panic. I just ate a piece of bread that was just a crumb in my throat. Dan found out on Monday that he is at risk of redundancy and in his job, and he loves his job. So it's there's a few things to worry about there. The first thing is he loves his job and he doesn't want to be at risk of redundancy. And the second thing is what the process will be and whether or not he can have another job at that organisation, or whether he'll have to start a job hunt, which he doesn't really want to do because he loves his job and he loves the organisation that he works for. So that's very difficult. Facing redundancy is something we've done a few times before. I've been made redundant once, Dan's been made redundant 5 times over his career. And it's difficult and it's stressful. So it's been a long week. We have been looking after ourselves, eating as healthily as we can, drinking plenty of water, trying to have nice relaxing evenings, get to bed at a reasonable time. But it's fair to say that it's just been a bit of a week. So yeah, we'll be going out for a little drink tonight while the girls are at their clubs. They both do, Phoebe does brownies on a Friday night, and Lilia's a young leader and helps out with the rainbows and brownies. So we'll pick them up at 7:30, so we'll pop out just before then and have time for a quick drink before we pick them up. And then come home for our pizzas. So I shall take you along with me. This is terrible light, but I forgot to mention that I finished my Just Feel Better shawl. And I love it. It's so good. I've messed it up a little bit here where I was weaving in an end. I've kind of, where is it now? I kind of pulled it too tight and distorted the stitches a bit, but I'm sure that will eventually just work its way out. Oh, and there's another end here that I haven't woven in. But oh, I've got to take pictures of this for my Ravelry page. It looks really airy because the light's behind me, but it's not as open as it looks. Oh, love this. This is 100% acrylic, this yarn. It's 4-ply weight, and it was a gradient by Quaint Corner of Crafts. I talked about this in my last podcast. So I can't wait to get a picture of this. I'm kind of tempted to wear it now when we go out, before I've even got a picture of it. Excited. It's very bright light. I was so excited to to get to the pub that I forgot to record anything other than a little bit in the pub. So here we are in the car with a very bright light, unflattering light. There's Dan, and there's Lilia and Phoebe. Now Lilia is a devil panda and Phoebe is a unicorn enthusiast because it was fantasy night at Brownies. Is that right?
I made cupcakes.
And you made cupcakes.
I ate my cupcakes.
And Lilia ate hers. Now we're going home.
Any cupcakes?
And Dan doesn't have any. This is Dan's sad face. Right, home, pizza. It's so cosy. I haven't taken it off since I left the house. I even wore it in the pub. We better turn this light out now we're driving. Getting ready to to go to a vintage fair, which is just at a local school. And we thought it looked quite fun, so we're going to have a bit of a day out. Woken up to news this morning that over 70s may have to self-isolate for a while, which would be my mum. So we might, we'll be giving her a call later. But she didn't want to come to the vintage fair. She said she's too busy organising the spare room. So she's obviously not too bothered. And she's a knitter. So she won't be bored, and we will bring her things. I said we'll leave stuff on the doorstep and run away. Right.
She's got our Netflix login.
And she's got our Netflix login as well. So, but anyway, it's we are smiling, but it is a difficult time. So we're going to go and try and have a nice bit of family time and enjoy it.
Whoop, whoop.
Darling, I'm never lonely whenever you are inside, 'cause I love you for sentimental reasons. I hope you do believe me, I've given you my heart. Come on.
It is about 6:15 in the evening. We've had a very lazy day. The vintage fair was small, but it was really good, and Lilia bought the most perfect vintage 1970s faux leather jacket, which just fits her perfectly. She's so pleased. Phoebe bought some vintage hair bands because she's all about the hair accessories, and some little clips and things like that. And there was a stall there selling shampoo bars, and I've just recently started using those, which is great because no packaging and they last forever. And I've had a bath, so I have just washed my hair, my very grey hair, with my shampoo bar. And Dan is cooking dinner tonight. We managed to get the ingredients that we needed. We were going to have a vegetarian chilli last night, but we couldn't get any of the stuff. But he went out early this morning and managed to get, we only needed some passata basically, and some corn mince, but it was just sold out everywhere. But he managed to get that this morning. So he's now crying in the kitchen because he's chopping onions, not because he's being forced to cook. So we're looking forward to, the girls are upstairs listening to music, and it's been quite a relaxed Sunday, which is lovely because we don't often have very relaxed days. And we're going to have our dinner, and then we're going to watch Back in Time for the corner shop, which we're all really enjoying, and just have a really nice chilled out Sunday evening. I have been working on my as if tee. I'll just grab it. Excuse the dodgy handheld camera filming and my dodgy hair. My as-is tee is living in my lovely Caroline Love to Sew bag, and I am making it with this lovely, what's the name of it, the colour name? It's Triskelion yarn, Penumbral is the colour. Yeah, so I had terrible trouble with this. I spoke about it in my last podcast. I've knit a Mobius, and I've ripped it back and I started again, and I knit another Mobius. Then I almost cried a bit, and then decided to try one more time, and I did 3 rows flat before I joined it in the round, and that seems to have worked. So I'm now knitting my as if tee in the round, but I haven't got very far. It looks like this. And I haven't done the rib. I'm gonna pick up from my provisional cast on and do the rib at the end. So this is just flat, so it's curling. So I'll probably work on that a little bit tonight. I've also been working a bit today on my ugly blanket, and I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I have started another ugly blanket, but I'll talk about that in the next podcast. So, right, I think it might be time for a gin and tonic. He's not making any sounds in the positive. I think it might be time for a gin and tonic.
I'm trying not to cut my fingers off.
Good morning. It is Monday, and I think this is going to be the last day I film for my Woolality TV for this episode of it. I am in my bedroom. This is an area of the house you don't often see on the vlogs, and I did mention way back in the very first Woolality TV that one of the things I wanted to cover this year was the renovation of our bedroom. Now, we've got quite a big bedroom. We live in a Victorian terrace house. It's very light, it's got very high ceilings, and it's very shabby. We have not done anything to it. It's practically the last room that we are going to touch since moving in 5 years ago. And you can see I'm sitting in front of some mess. So I've thought I'd just go through with you some of the mess that is in here and why I'm doing that now. This is too hot to sip, actually. This bag here, I'm saving up to build a crafty studio in the back garden. I've got a lot of yarn now and a lot of stuff associated with the vlogs and podcasts and this channel, and I'm beginning to feel the need for an office. My husband also works from home a couple of days a week, so it'll be really handy for that. So I am now saving up for that. So the money that I make from doing these videos, from the adverts, so just to be clear, the adverts at the beginning and end of all my videos, if you watch them through, you don't have to click on them, but if you watch them through, I get a very, very tiny amount of money, and if enough of you do that, then that money builds up. And all of that money goes back into the podcast, so it'll either go on prizes or postage of prizes and stuff like that. And I'm also channeling it now into saving up for a studio, so I can do a garden studio, so I can do this properly. I'm going to be buying a new camera too, but I'm funding that in other ways, which makes it sound really sinister, but it's not. I inherited my dad's camera, so I'm going to trade that in to upgrade it to a more modern one, which he would be very, very proud to hear, because he was a real gadget man. He'd probably be down at Jessop's with me trying to decide which one was best. And the one that I inherited is a fairly old DSLR, which I already have, because he bought me one before he died. That's a very rambly story. Right, so in this bag here is basically overspill stuff that won't fit in my cupboard where I keep all my yarn, won't keep in my box, which I keep in the other cupboard, or anywhere else. So it will eventually live in my studio, which was the whole point of me rambling. And in here I've got several things waiting to move. So first of all, this is a very, very lovely gift that was sent to me. It's Rosehip Island. It was, I'm not going to show you everything in detail, but this was sent to me a couple of years ago as a lovely advent present by a lovely viewer of this podcast, Hilary. And it's the most gorgeous set of, I think they're all 20 gram, 12 20 gram minis. And there were 2 options, warm and cool. And I think I got the warm set. So just to give you an example, this is one of them. But actually all 12 colours you can use in a gradient almost, because the colours are so complementary of each other, and they're sparkly and plump and lovely. So that's in here because I want to find the perfect project for that. I've also got several sort of projects that are kind of ready to go, but waiting for me to have the time to do it. So in this bag, which I made myself, I've got 2 lots of socks that I want to make the girls. They're both Nordic Stitches patterns. So they're all ready to go. In here, this is a lovely bag that was made for me by Sandra of the Cherry Heart podcast back when I was having a very, very tricky time in my life. And she sent me a little mini advent. Anyway, I've still got some of those minis left. I used all of the minis to make the Memory Keepers shawl by Lena Knits. And then I made the Memory Keepers hat, but I made a sort of short beanie version. And now I've got some minis left in here from Sandra, plus a skein of Drops Flora to make the Memory Keepers hat, but the proper floppy version. So that's been living in there for ages, waiting for me to have the time. Isn't that a beautiful bag? In here I've got a load of the green. So if you watch my podcast, you will see me making the My Favourite Jeans top with the purple yarn that my friend Caroline bought me. My real life school friend Caroline. And she also bought me a load of greens as well. And I'm making a bag with those, but it's a really lovely sort of simple granny pattern. It's a free pattern from Piro Yarns. It's actually a chart because it's a Japanese pattern, so it's actually a chart. So it took me a while because crochet charts were not really my thing, but it is just a granny square. Basically you make a giant granny square, and then I've got some handles that my friend Lou gave me ages ago. Because the reason I'm making this is because when I first met Lou, she had this bag and I admired it, and she sent me the handles so I could make my own. So I've got my handles, Lou, still, and I haven't got very far with this. But I need to pick it up again, so I'm just striping all the greens. That's going to be amazing when it's finished. I'm going to line it as well. So, I need to get back to that, don't I? I seem to be doing a lot of crochet granny squares at the moment. So that's what's in there. And then I've also got in here my beautiful hydrangea bag. And this was a gift, again, at a very difficult time when my dad was ill, from lovely Donna of Inner Pickle Knitting. This is a very, very precious gift. And in here, I have got 3 precious skeins of yarn, which have been balled up far too long, and it really does worry me that having them balled up like this is going to be bad for the yarn. So I was going to make let me show you. The yarn, by the way, is all 3rd Vault yarns. And I was going to make, or I was making quite successfully, what I'm not doing successfully is showing you. That was harder than it needed to be. The So Faded sweater by Andrea Mowry. But I have gone off the idea of this sweater because honestly, I don't think it's going to suit me. I don't think it's really my style. So I've got these 3 gorgeous skeins of yarn. 2 of them are Mazakeen, but different dye lots. So I've got one slightly lighter than the other, which personally I'm very, very, very pleased about. And the other one is a completely different colour, which I can't remember. Coffee. The other one is coffee. So they are different, and they're slightly different bases as well. But they all just look so lovely together. So I'm going to have to find another project for this gorgeous yarn that's not the So Faded sweater. Just because it's a raglan sweater and I've got very wide shoulders. And I find with the raglan style sweaters, it's just not very flattering on me, which is a shame because it's a really beautiful pattern. But I could make one for one of the girls. Yeah, so I'm going to find a pattern for those. Okay, I'm going to start sorting this lot out. What was lurking behind all of that stuff is our original Victorian fireplace. And we got a guy coming later this week to have a look at it because it needs a bit of a revamp, and this hearth is going to come out and be replaced, and it just needs general maintenance. So he's coming Wednesday, so I needed to clear a space to get to it. And I've also been sorting out all my camera stuff. Yeah, so we can finally see the fireplace again. Dan and I are going for a lunchtime walk. Look at this blossom.
Very pretty.
because we've got about half an hour before Dan's next call. So, and I've been very busy decluttering in the bedroom. And it's a very sunny day. I think that's our neighbour up ahead with their dog. So we thought we'd just go and get some vitamin D quickly and a bit of nature. Nature! Gorgeous, and the birds are singing, and look at the gorse, bright yellow everywhere on the heath, and there are magpies everywhere as well, which is good. So we keep seeing 2 magpies, which is good luck. So maybe we might survive. Oh, there's 4 more. We might survive this pandemic after all, because I've seen so many pairs of magpies.